You may not be able to get an RTX 5090. Even if you have the cash, the $2,000 to go buy it, you might not really be able to get one. Maybe not even a 5080. In my last video, I went to Micro Center and I was shocked at how empty the shelves were. Like, this is January 18th, so you're talking about 12 days before the release of RTX 50 series. There were absolutely no RTX 40 series GPUs, really no Radeon GPUs that you would want to buy. There's an Intel Arc and then RTX 3060s. That's it. So the inventory was absolutely destroyed. Now, you can obviously still find these GPUs and RTX 4000 different places online. I'm talking about one specific retailer, but this place is usually jam-packed with GPUs. It's even going into a new generation. You could say, oh, obviously they wanted to clear inventory for the new stuff, but they always have leftovers or they have enough inventory to keep going, for example. But it shows you somebody's being very cautious. And when the RTX 5090 comes out, I think it's going to be very difficult to get. Everybody's going to go for that GPU. And now let's hear a word from our sponsor, VIP-CDKdeals.com, a Windows Pro CD key. Add to cart, you put in code CC20. This will also work on Windows 11. You want to go into your settings in Windows, change and adjust your CD key, click activate, and now let's go back to the video. Now, you may be saying, it's a $2,000 GPU. Oh, not that many people have the money now with the economy and everything to go get it. But look at the 4090. When the 4090 came out, I remember Micro Center had 150 people in line, this very Micro Center, to go and buy that GPU. And I was like, oh man, a lot of people are going to buy this GPU. And wouldn't you know it, the next few months, it was constantly sold out. Scalpers were selling it for more. It was the most expensive GPU. I mean, $1,599 MSRP, but most of the prices were probably $1,800 to like $2,000 for most of its life, if not more, because of these special AIB models, and the price crept up. So a 1999 5090 is not going to dissuade people from buying it. And I think it's going to be really hard to get. I mean, there are many reasons. It's like a ridiculous amount of reasons. Because first, there are no RTX 40 series. So it's not like you can go and buy a 4090 at this particular Micro Center. You can still find them online, which is hard still. So aside from the used market, if you're walking into this store when the RTX 50 series comes out, you have no choice but to get one of those if you want like a reasonable GPU, because the other options were like a 3060. So there's nothing in between. That's not good for consumers in general. So that shows you that there's something wrong with the market. Even the 5080, I think, is going to sell out because people can't get the 5090. Why do people want the 5090? Well, easy. First, it's the fastest gaming GPU we've ever seen. And that's even before reviews come out, just based on what NVIDIA told us and what we can see. Set aside the machine learning and DLSS and AI, which gives it the fake frames, that as people say it, which I happen to like. I think DLSS 4 is a great technology with the multi-frame rendering. I think it's fantastic. But set that aside. Even if you don't have that, it's still the best like raster GPU that we've ever seen. I mean, the insane amount of CUDA cores, the RT cores, the tensor cores for AI and for everything else. It's just packed with technology. 32 gigabytes of VRAM, G7, GDDR7. It's really efficient, very wide memory bus. Like, the specs are insane. They're almost, well, no, not almost, they're definitely overkill for gaming. And I mean, it's no surprise that NVIDIA would put out such a great GPU. That's why I'm talking so positively about it, because NVIDIA is the only company that can put that type of GPU out. I mean, what else do you have that's a 5090? Nothing. Even the best AMD GPU barely came close to the 4090, not to mention the 5090. So it's not just me praising NVIDIA. It really is the singular product on the market. If like Intel or AMD had a competitor that was as good, I would say, oh, the 5090 has this many CUDA cores, but you know what? Maybe this Intel GPU has this going for it, or that AMD GPU has that, but there's no competition. That's the problem. I mean, sure, I can find fault with the 5090. I mean, $2,000. Let's start there. That's very expensive. Now, I heard somebody like sort of compare something that's this was actually the CEO of Hermes. You know, Hermes makes those like really custom handbags. I know it's not my interest. You guys don't care either, but it's something really expensive. Or, you know, a handbag could be like $10,000. A reporter asked him, why are your bags so expensive? And then he said, well, they're not expensive, they're costly. That's the difference. He said that they're costly because it's a craft, it's an art. You have an artisan for hours and hours making them. Something expensive is something that maybe he said it feels like it betrays you, like you don't feel like you got the value out of it. The 5090, then, I don't think it's necessarily expensive. It's very costly. $2,000 is costly. But look at the technology in that GPU. It's insane. It's really the best there is on the market, period. Even if you forget AI and machine learning, it's pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy GPU. It's still going to be way faster than a 4090, and it is a little more expensive by 25%. A little is relative. At that price point, that's a decent chunk. But it seems like it's worth it. And then you count in all of the machine learning stuff and, DLSS 4. I saw an example, I think NVIDIA was sharing that, like in the new Indiana Jones game, the 4090 at 4K and ray tracing was getting, 90 FPS, 100 FPS. The 5090 was getting like 200 FPS, obviously with DLSS 4. So you have to accept the fact that AI is here for gaming GPUs, and still with that, the rasterization performance of the 5090, that's the one thing we haven't seen much of. I'm sure it's still going to be incredible, but obviously you have to factor in the AI as well. And remember, the 32 gigabytes of VRAM is nice and all, but this is really a Titan level GPU. Like, it's not only gamers that want this. This is the other problem. This is why it's going to be impossible to get. Anybody who's doing AI or machine learning that can't get a data center GPU or a smaller operation, they're going to want a 5090. Any 3D content creator, even like video editors, they're going to want a 5090. You throw that in DaVinci Resolve and you're going to get some crazy graphics performance when you're rendering your videos. If you're doing, anything related to 3D and graphics, you're going to want a 5090. So it's not just gaming. It's a pretty impressive GPU across the board. Now, obviously, when we get to the 5080, people are going to want that. Then it's going to be more gamers, I'm sure. It's half the GPU the 5090 is, but it's also half the price. A little more palatable to spend $1,000 rather than $2,000. But people won't be able to get the 5090 that easily. I bet you, if I had to give my audience any advice from seeing every single GPU launch the last several years, if you think you want a 5090, don't wait. Don't think you're going to wait for the price is not going to go down forever, probably, until something else comes out. And don't think you're going to find it in stock that easily the first few months. Most likely, and of course I could be wrong, it's going to sell out like either launch day or very close, and then you'll get these drops over the next several months. This is what we saw even with the 4090, and it's going to be difficult to get. The best time to get it is when it comes out. Like, you just have to bite the bullet and get it. Hold on to it for 5 years if you want, if that's the GPU that you've been waiting to upgrade for. But the 5090, what are you going to do? It's expensive. Like, I realize that. But like I said, I think it's costly and not necessarily expensive if we take that meaning of the word to mean something that's not worth it. You buy a 5090, you're going to be good for a long time. I mean, you're going to be good on a 4090 still. Even with 4K, you can still do very well with a 4090. Arguably, you don't need that much more for now until games start to really push ray tracing and path tracing. That Indiana Jones game that I mentioned, ray tracing is kind of a prerequisite. You have to have it enabled. And I've played it on the 4090, at 4K. And without DLSS, that it really, punishes the GPU. So games like that, little by little, even a 4090 you may eventually need as technology pushes you to get something like a 50 series, but still a 4090 is more than enough. But it's not like you can find a 4090. Look at when I went to Micro Center. There's nothing there at all. Not even, actually no RTX 4000 GPUs. So there's no option on the market. That's going to be another problem. We have to see what happens. I wonder if people are going to start selling the 5090s again on the secondhand market. They buy it for $2,000, sell it for $3,000 because you can't get it. And NVIDIA is not supplying enough for the market. Maybe. It'd be nice if NVIDIA had enough, but we don't really know what's going to happen yet. But from seeing the store being so empty of any GPUs, And knowing some rumors that they said the launch supply may not be all that high for the 5080 or 5090, and there's no competition, and NVIDIA's focusing on data center and I don't know. It's going to be a recipe for a GPU that you may want. It's going to be hard to get. So, yeah, let's see what happens. But let me know what you think down below. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.